In the spring of 2022, I got rid of 98% of what I owned. I moved from a house that had 2 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, 2 porches, a 2-car carport, a backyard, and a shed. I moved from all of that into my car. In this video, I'm going to share 10 downsizing, decluttering tips that can help you reach your goal towards simplicity, minimalism, and decluttering. The first 5 are mindsets. These mindsets are the values that I brought forth to help me through the difficult parts of downsizing. Because to get rid of 98% of what I owned, I gotta say it was really difficult. And I think expecting that up front, expect it to be difficult, and that can make the process better. And I'm somebody who enjoys decluttering. I enjoy getting rid of something, and I almost get the same rush of the lightness I feel when I declutter as somebody might when they buy something. The first mindset for me is that I value experience over things. I want to live life fully. I want to soak the marrow out of life. I have a thirst and a hunger for a beautiful story, for a life lived deeply. I love being moved. It doesn't take much to move me. When I see humans being nice to each other, the beauty of nature, and the surprises of things that I didn't know to expect, like a campsite that blows me away, like this one that I'm at right now, those are the things that give me such a combination of a rush, and it also gives me a deep connection to how precious and beautiful and amazing and miraculous it is to be a conscious being in this universe. Well, that's how I want to spend my life. That is so much more important than stuff. That totally helped me. Number 2, when I look at the things I value, freedom is right up there at the top of the list. I'm a deeply, deeply sovereign woman, and freedom is paramount to me. So I've always been a minimalist for multiple reasons, but one of them is that I don't want to have a lot of things because I don't want to spend my time on a lot of things. Because anytime we talk about spending our money on something, what we're saying is, this is where I'm electing to trade time and energy for this thing. And I value time and energy so much more than things. Now, I have absolutely found that there is a sweet spot. I don't want to live like an ascetic, and I kind of lived that way when I was in my car because I was finding the balance of too little versus too much. And the minivan is practically gosh darn near perfect for me right now. But living in the car, it was too little. It's trying to find that I have enough to function well in life. I have enough to enjoy the beauty of my space and to function well, to be able to put my time and energy toward the experiences that I want to put them toward. That is freedom, and I value freedom over things. 3, I don't care about monetary status. So I feel super blessed about that because I don't feel like I chose that value. I think that I just valued other things so much. I do value responsibility, and a lot of times financial responsibility is a part of a responsible character. And so I absolutely value that. But I don't like anything in the realm of where a thing, an object that I purchase, whether that's a home or clothing or an accessory or a vehicle, is a status symbol. And so again, my value is dignity, responsibility, work that supports dreams in a life. I love all of that stuff, but I don't like the financial status hierarchy thing. And that really has very much helped me throughout the entirety of my life with minimalism, because I do not believe I have anything to prove with the stuff that I have. I know my worth is not tied to what I own. And that right there is a wonderful sense of power and freedom to be able to let go of things without worrying that I'm somehow falling down a hierarchy, because I don't ascribe to the financial hierarchy. I just don't. 4, I feel physically and energetically lighter when I let go of stuff. Decluttering has such a vibrant feel to me. And this was long before I decluttered so much to become a nomad. I loved getting rid of stuff. I would feel physically lighter. It's fascinating. There's really interesting sort of quantum physics stuff to describe why that's the case. I felt it, I feel it, and I will tell you this, the lightest I've ever felt in my life has been when I lived out of my car and out of the minivan. When I had that RV, I felt like I was drowning in the weight of it. And I think that's because I had the freedom of my life was so light with the car, with this minivan, that I'm energetically vibrant. I'm less tired. I sleep better. I just am happier as a whole. Getting rid of stuff can help you feel energetically, physically, mentally, and emotionally lighter. It is such a wonderful thing. 5, less stuff makes life far more simple. I love having a simple life. And the reason I love a simple life is because there are certain things that I am deeply, deeply passionate about. And I want to put all of my energy there. The things that I love doing them 1,000%. And I am all in. And I can be so fixated and focused and deeply immersed in the things that I love doing that when I have to tend to other tasks, it can be very frustrating, annoying, infuriating. So the less things that I have, the more I am able to put all of my time, energy, and attention into my passions. So a simple life allows me to live a deeply, wonderfully, meaningfully focused life on the things I love the most. So those first 5 tips were all internal mindsets, perspectives that you can adopt in order to inspire your downsizing journey. Because if you adopt those perspectives, then it becomes easier to let go of something. You can look at something you're attached to that you know you probably really won't use, and you can say, is this worth my freedom? And for some things, the answer might be yes. Again, I'm not necessarily promoting an extreme minimalism. I did that in the car, and that was really hard. In fact, if you have too little, it can lead to a non-simplified life. Simplicity is really a balanced thing, and it's going to be different for everybody depending on your personal needs. For me, right now, the minivan is the sweet spot of stuff. The car was too small, the RV was too big. This minivan is just right. Goldilocks. These next 5 tips are very practical things you can do to start the decluttering journey. There's nothing sort of ingenious or new here. These are things that you probably hear in a multitude of videos on minimalism, on simplicity, on decluttering, but it's because they're good tips. It's the practical how-to. 6, give yourself time. If possible, really do give yourself time for a downsize and decluttering situation. I had decided I was going to be a nomad almost 5 months before my lease was over. And it was in the course of fall, and so I knew we were going to move into the winter months, and I think it was a really good thing I didn't start my nomadic journey in the winter, because nomadic winters, honestly, they're pretty hard, brutal even, and totally worth it. So I had that time over the fall and the winter to start letting go of things. Now, I didn't want to feel really displaced, so I didn't do the significant releasing of things until about 6 weeks before my nomadic journey began. But I did have 5 months to let go of quite a bit. Things where I was like, I just know that this one's easy to let go of. And so that helped. If possible, give yourself time. 7, offer to give your things to people, but be prepared. They may not want them. I was shocked. I was like, nobody wants my stuff. And I had kind of nice stuff. I was giving away jewelry and clothing and books and household items and furniture. And some people in my friend and family group took some things, but it was so much less than I thought. I thought it was going to be this wonderful experience of I'm giving so much away and people will benefit from them. People in my circle, I guess you could say, also value minimalism themselves, and so they didn't want things they didn't think they'd use. So I was surprised to see that a lot of people didn't want my stuff. So you can offer to give it to people who you think might appreciate it, but be prepared that a lot of people might not want your stuff. 8, create a purge system. Now I love lists and categories. They make me so happy. So my purge system was divided into 3 categories. Definitely got to get rid of it. Maybe keep, maybe give away. And then the definitely keep. So what I did is I started with the 2 extremes. That was a little bit easier. If there was stuff that I knew I definitely wanted to not have, that was easy to let go. Also things I definitely knew I wanted to keep, I put them in their pile. And then it was that middle ground. It was that middle deciding that was quite tricky. For that, I did the thing where you ask yourself, is this functional and will it truly be functional in my nomadic life? And does it bring me enough joy from its beauty that it's worth keeping. Because there are some things that I think are just so beautiful pieces of art. It's okay to have beautiful things. It's okay to keep some things. Which, by the way, brings me to number 9. Have a flexible storage plan. I think that was really helpful because I was moving out of my home. I didn't want to almost force myself into greater stress than I already had in the decluttering process. My family was so generous. They offered me a closet in their guest bedroom, as well as the room underneath their bed of the guest bedroom they have in their house. And that has been tremendous. And if that wasn't available to me, then I would spend approximately $100 a month on storage. I do believe it's worth it, especially if you move into something as small as a car or a minivan. I can't even tell you how many times throughout the first 6 months that I lived out of my car, I went and traded things in. First, I brought way too much in my car, way too much. So to have a place to put all of that stuff was such a blessing. And then I learned there are things I needed that were in storage, seasonal clothing, that kind of thing was incredibly helpful. So I know folks, have different needs and different perspectives on storage. I don't like spending any monthly fees, but I would say that storage is something that I would invest in if I didn't have the incredible blessed gift of being able to use that closet and underneath the bed in my family's house. 10, release perfection. It's going to be messy. Literally, your house is going to be a mess if you get rid of as much as I did. Also, it's going to be stressful. It's a stressful thing. There's like energetic ties that we have to our stuff. So give yourself permission to have a little bit higher stress than usual. Know that it's normal. Know that you're not doing anything wrong when this process is stressful. And once you do get to the other side, it is such a gift. And one of the things that can be stressful is if you have certain things you love or certain sentimental items, I would take a picture of them. Because what I realized for me is the sentiment isn't in the thing. It's in the memory. It's in the meaning that that thing represented. And so if it was something that truly wasn't going to be of function or beauty in my life, but it did have significant memory value, I took a picture of it so that I can always keep that memory with me. And on that note, some people say they feel guilty about letting certain things go. Well, one, maybe this is why you want to have a storage facility. But two, it's okay to not keep the thing, but to keep the sentiment. You don't have to keep something somebody gave you to make them feel better. That could be slipping into the realm of people pleasing. There is a way to absolutely love and honor the kind, wonderful gifts that people may have given you without having to have the burden of keeping something that may lead you to actually resent them. So if you snap a photo of it and you look at it with the memory and the love and the joy of that gift versus having a gift that causes you stress because it's become clutter and you feel resentment because you feel guilt, very different motive. So what I would say is have that internal courage and bravery to say, I know this might disappoint somebody if they knew I was letting it go, but I take the meaning with me and I release the potential for resentment. Now on to the questions. I absolutely love answering questions you guys ask. I think that's a lot of fun. And I'm probably going to do this as a regular thing. Every time I have sort of a topic specific how-to video for the nomadic life, I'm going to put out a call on my YouTube posts and see if there's any specific questions. This is why I love the questions. Listen to this wonderful question. My question is, how do you declutter not just to minimize possessions, but to metaphorically shed your former skin and start anew? What I can just say is affirm through my own experience that that has been what's absolutely happened. There have been 4 times in my life I've moved across a state line before I was a nomad, and I only brought what went with me in my car. And I think that's because there is something that I love so much about that lightness that I was talking about earlier. And it can be so symbolic and exciting. Then there can also be grief. I think making room for the grief, right? Like if we are coming into a new self, it means we're moving out of something. And that may or may not be something we've wanted to move out of. What does my decision to let something go, what is it representing? What do I gain as a result of letting go? What is letting go of this? How is it a representation about who I'm becoming? So I don't know if that quite answered that question, but those are just different thoughts I had related to it. That yes, we do metaphorically change as we let go of stuff. And that's a beautiful, wonderful thing that may have grief, which is okay. The next question, how do you cultivate the mindset to live simply? It seems whatever space I live in, I will accumulate stuff to fill it. Yes, right? After I got rid of 98% of what I owned going from the house to the car, I thought I never want to have to go through that again. That was so stressful. And yet, when I purchased that RV, it was 216 square feet, and I managed to fill it up. And I have had to do a pretty significant downsize once I went from the RV to the minivan. And it was really stressful. So I share that experience just to say, I think that is such a natural thing. If there is an empty space available, it's like a law of the universe. It will get filled. I would say the adaptability is huge. That maybe the ultimate mindset is adapting, setting the intention, and then knowing you have to, with routine, come back to practicing that intention through, little declutter rituals that you do, say, every month, every 2 months. The willingness to just adapt to your space. If you have more space, that it just makes sense that that'll probably get filled. But then if you're willing to let go of it, if your space needs change, is probably the ultimate mindset to be adaptable in that way. The next question is, do you keep any sentimental items with you or only serviceable things? That's a great question. And I looked around my space after I read that question. I didn't bring anything sentimental with me from my earlier life. I did keep some sentimental things in my family's storage, like diaries I had from when I was like 7 years old. I think that kind of thing is cute. And so that is in the storage. It just doesn't make sense that I would bring that with me in the van because there's so little room and I look at it so infrequently. So I did keep some sentimental things. I do have a lot of sentiment toward different things in my van. I love how pretty it is, you guys. That's why I was so excited to share the tour with you, because I have a tremendous amount of sentiment to its setup, to its hominess, to the way that it's like a genie bottle or a dollhouse. So I feel a lot of sentimental feelings when I look at my pretty pillow with all the swirls on it, or when I look at the different colors. But there isn't like one thing in here that represents a certain sentiment. Another question is, I'd love to hear about your decision to give up standing room going from the RV to the minivan. And that is such a great question, and I will share I really didn't like the experience of the RV. That being said, I'd love more standing room, but I'm at the phase in my nomadic experience right now, in the phase of my life where what really calls to me more than anything is ease of movement and adventure. And there is no way that I'd be able to afford a trip to Alaska if I was in an RV, because RVs get anywhere from like 6 to maybe 12 miles per gallon in gasoline. Plus you have to stay in campgrounds. They can't go to as many off-road places. Right now, it would be really difficult for an RV to be in this location I'm in. So the minivan, even though I can't stand, it still affords me a tremendous amount of privacy. Unlike the car was so little that I had so little privacy that my favorite thing about going from the car to the RV was the privacy. I'm okay not standing inside right now. I think in time, I'm definitely going to want a nomadic rig where I can stand inside. I know it. I know I will. But I give myself a good several years living in this really happily. I've seen some folks who do get a lift on the minivan. I don't know that I would want that because everything in the van is designed for sitting. And that might be kind of strange and tricky, but that is also just another option, is to kind of shave off the roof and do a pop top. That could be really cool, and you could stand. That could be really cool. That could be really cool. I gotta give that some more thought. I am currently just wrapping up the edits for this video, and I did have one other question roll in on the post where I asked for questions, and that question is, what about clothes? What do you do for clothes? By the way, there are so many mosquitoes. You guys did warn me about that. You were right. Oh, look who's come to join us. Hey, Chloe, you want to say hi to everybody? You want to say hi? Hey. What about clothing, and how often do you do laundry? So when I downsized from my home to the car, I would say I got rid of approximately 65% of my clothing. What I have the majority of in the storage closet is actually clothing. There's seasonal clothing, and I just have good enough clothing that once my clothing actually goes bad, like that blue shirt you saw me wearing, I've had that thing for years. I love it, and you probably didn't see, but in the elbows there's little holes developing. So I wear my clothes until I really can't reasonably wear them anymore. I like having a backstock so I don't have to go buy things. That being said, I do think I'm going to purchase a few items of clothing on this trip. Have shirts that represent like Yukon, Alaska, British Columbia. That's kind of fun. So I currently bring 7 pair of pants and 2 shorts. I also have 11 shirts. That is enough. I don't do laundry very often because I repeat wear my clothing multiple times. The thing about being a nomad who lives way the heck out in the middle of nowhere, I'm not offending anybody with my odor. And plus, I really actually don't think I stink. That I give my clothing a sniff test, and that's the decision to see if I'm going to keep wearing it. Like this t-shirt here, I think I've wore this 6 or 7 times. Probably has another 2 wears in it before I will put that into my dirty clothes. So I don't do laundry very often, and I don't have many clothes, and life is much more simple and easy. When I lived in the house, I wore a piece of clothing maybe twice before washing it, and I was doing laundry at least every week. Okay, it looks like those were the questions that came in from the post. Thank you guys so much for asking those questions. Like I said, I really enjoy speaking directly to your questions. It's one of my favorite things to do in these kind of sit and talk videos. So next time I have a topic come up, I will put out a post with maybe a little bit more time for questions to roll in specific to that topic. Anyway, thank you guys for being here. What are your tips? What did I leave out? I'm sure I actually probably left quite a few things out. These were just more my direct experience, but there is so much good material out there on decluttering and minimalism. What has helped you? For those who were drawn to this idea of decluttering, I'm curious to hear, what's your why? Why do you enjoy a decluttered space? What makes that something that really fits your life and your values and your intentions? All right, you guys, well, our next video is going to be a continuation of our adventure, and we're going to do a combination of adventure vlogs all the way up to Alaska, which is just, oh my goodness, I'm coming at you from a beautiful location in Montana. I can't wait for you to see it on the vlog. You get a little sneak peek. I'm way the heck up on a mountaintop overlooking lakes and snow-capped mountains. It is magical. Can't wait for you to see that in the vlog. So definitely subscribe if you haven't. Follow our journey to Alaska. Also, I'm going to be doing more of these how-to videos. I've got a whole bunch of topics in mind, but I'd be curious to hear, what kind of videos do you think would be helpful for how-to nomad videos? All right, you guys, we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.